So genetic engineering, as you know, it is a gene manipulation. So you need to isolate the gene of your interest, introduce that desired gene into a vector, and then introduce that vector carrying the gene of your interest into a host. So the part 1 had all that. You have studied about how to isolate a gene of interest from a cell, and then how to identify the gene of your interest by agarose gel electrophoresis, and we have also seen what are the enzymes required for cutting off the DNA of your interest, right? So selection and isolation of DNA insert is over. Then the what are the different types of vectors, cloning vectors we have studied, right? Now we have also seen what are linkers, adapters, homopolymer tailing, and so on. So now you have a vector which is containing your desired gene. So what will be your next step? That particular vector which is harboring the foreign gene has to be introduced into a host, right? So that particular host and then has to multiply, undergo replication and synthesis that particular protein in multiple copies. So now the next is your gene transfer. Gene transfer is nothing but a transfer of a gene from one DNA to the another DNA of two other organisms, right? So if you have that gene, the transferred gene is called as transgenic, and the organism which is harboring that particular transferred gene is called as transgenic, either plant or animal. That means what are you doing here? Your vector which is harboring the desired gene, you are introducing that into a host. So the host can be many. Either it can be a prokaryotic cell or it can be a eukaryotic cell. So this is your next step. What is the next step? Gene transfer. Your vector harboring the DNA, it has to be introduced into a host. That host can be either a bacteria, for example Escherichia coli, it can be Bacillus subtilis, Streptomyces and so on, or it can be an eukaryotic cell. So in eukaryotic cell like fungi, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Aspergillus. It can be animals also, where insect cells you can take as a host, oocytes of frogs, mammalian cells, or the complete organism can be taken as the host. Plants, you can take protoplast. You know protoplast, right? It is the cell without cell wall. So the protoplast can be taken, or the intact cell can be taken, or a whole plant can be taken. So that's why you have so many transgenic plants and transgenic animal, genetically modified organism. Then we call them as transgenic plant or animals, right? So now what are the different methods of gene transfer? So you have transformation, electroporation, conjugation, transduction, microinjection, liposome mediated gene transfer, and so on. These are the different methods by which you are introducing the foreign DNA into a host. So we have already studied this transformation, conjugation and transduction. Transformation, I told you, it is an uptake of a naked DNA by a competent cell. So the cell which is taking your foreign DNA should be competent. So either the cell should be a competent, or you have to make that particular cell competent by with the calcium chloride solution. So that is transformation. So with the help of this we have already studied in genetic recombination. This is a natural method of gene transfer, where your uptake of the naked DNA from uptake of a naked DNA from the surrounding by competent cell is taking place. Conjugation, as I told you, you have a donor cell and a recipient cell, and then the transfer can be done from one cell to the another, by which you can get a transgenic cell. Transduction, as I told you, transduction is a gene transfer mediated by a bacteriophage. So bacteriophage help in transferring the genes from one bacteria to another. This is the transform cell. So as I told you, transformation, uptake of a naked DNA. Naked DNA, now here it is a plasmid which is harboring your foreign DNA, and this is your competent cell. So with the help of the calcium chloride and so on, this plasmid can be introduced into this host cell. So this is called as a transformed cell. So transformation, conjugation and transduction. Now coming to electroporation. Electroporation is a electric method, where what are you doing is you are subjecting the cell to high electric voltage. So so that you get pores onto that particular cell, and then incubate the DNA and the cell which is being subjected to high electric field. So what is happening? The cell is becoming porous, so it is able to take up the naked DNA. So this is the electroporation. So you can see here that the cells are being subjected to high electric voltage, and then it is being treated with the your foreign DNA, and when the cell membrane becomes very porous, it is able to take up your foreign DNA. So this method is very fast and it is less costly also, and when you screen out, many transformants can be produced by this particular method. The next method is micro injections. So what are you doing this particular method? Your foreign DNA, which is your vector, which is harboring the foreign DNA, you are taking it in an injection form, and then you are introducing into a host cell. This cell can be egg, oocytes, and so on. So this is a micro injection. The next one is your micro projectiles, or it is also called as biolistic method, where the DNA which has to be transferred into the cell is being coated with the beads, microscopic beads, which can be made up of gold or tungsten, and then those coated beads are then attached to the end of the plastic bullet and then loaded into a firing chamber of the gene gun. This is something like this is called as gunshot method, where how you take a gun and then shoot it. This has been your foreign DNA is being introduced into a gun, and then it is being shotted onto the host cell. Either it can be a plant or animal. So that is your biolistic or microprojectile method. The next is liposome mediated gene transfer, where the DNA is being loaded into a liposome. Liposome is nothing but they are the lipids. So you can see an aqueous phase here, and then two aqueous phases, and then in the middle you have a lipid bilayer, and then this is something like a vesicle, and your foreign DNA is introduced into this, and this liposome is being transferred into the host. So you can see here lipid solution and the DNA is mixed. So the in the aqueous layer the DNA is being present here, and this is your lipid layer, and then this has been incubated with in the cells, so that they take up, and then this liposome is being introduced into the cell. So you get your foreign DNA introduced into the host cell. The next method is calcium phosphate method, where your DNA is being incubated in a solution of calcium chloride and a potassium phosphate. So when calcium chloride and potassium phosphates are incubated with the DNA, you find a precipitate of calcium phosphate. So this calcium phosphate gets precipitated down. Then this cells are incubated with a precipitated DNA, either in a solution or in a tissue culture dish. So you can see here, this is the precipitation of the DNA. They have used animal cells. Here, this is the calcium phosphate solution, and the DNA is getting precipitated on the cell surface. So this is your calcium phosphate mediated DNA transfer. Now these are the different methods by which you have seen that the foreign DNA can be introduced into a host. So your next step is, when you have done this particular method called as transfection. What is this transfection? Transfection is a method by which you are introducing your gene of interest in the form of a vector or without a vector into a host. So when you are doing this particular experiment, you should be able to know whether the cells are getting transformed or not. You won't be able to see that with a naked eye, right? So you have to go for a screening. So among a huge population, suppose you are doing this particular experiment with the bacterial cells. So you can't see 1,000 cells are there. You can't recognize which are the transformed cells and which are not, which are transgenic and which are not transgenic. So you have to do the next method which is called as screening of transgenic. So this if it is a bacteria, if the host is a bacterial cell, then you have to go for a method called as colony hybridization technique, or you have certain selectable marker genes in the plasmid, right? And if you are introducing a gene of interest into that marker gene will get inactivated. For example, if you take PBR322, you have an ampicillin resistant site there. If your gene of interest is introduced into that particular site, obviously that particular gene will get inactivated, and when you grow the cells into a media containing ampicillin and so on, they become very sensitive because that particular gene got inactivated. The other methods are also like southern blot techniques, northern blot techniques. You can use this blotting techniques also for screening of the transgenic plant. Now among this, colony hybridization is important. So what you are supposed to do here is, now you have a plate where you did a transformation, that you know that you have to select which is your transformed cell, your gene of interest, whether you have introduced properly or not among this population, which is your transgenic cell. So what you're supposed to do is, you have to maintain a master plate. We have already studied a replica plate technique, which was introduced by Liederberg. What we have done there is, you have taken a master plate and then with the help of a velvet cloth, you have made one more copy of that onto a one more plate, so that the same types of colonies are you are getting. So now what you are doing here is, you are making a replica plate onto a nitrocellulose filter paper here. So obviously when you take a nitrocellulose filter paper and press it onto that, you get one more copy of that particular cells. So you will take that nitrocellulose filter, you are taking this filter paper and pressing onto the media which is having the transform cell. So now take that filter. Now the filter paper is having the bacterial colonies. Now take this and treat that. You have to subject that to lysis. Lyse the bacteria with lysozyme, digest the protein, because you are interested only in DNA with protease, and then wash and denature the DNA because you have double stranded, so you have to change that to single stranded. And then what you are supposed to do is, you have to bake it at 80 degrees, and then you will get a filter with only DNA, because these are all colonies. So cells, proteins, RNA, everything are gone, and then you can see this is dark, but now here it is light. Why? Because it was being subjected to lysis, digestion of the proteins, and then you have washed it, and denaturation of the DNA has taken place, so that you are getting only the single stranded DNA. So now with this particular replica, now you are getting a filter with a DNA print. So now what you will do, you have to go for a hybridization technique. So what you are doing, you will hybridize with radioactive probe RNA, and then you will subject it to auto radiography. So if your gene of interest is this, like you know the sequence of the DNA, create one more probe which is complementary to that particular gene of interest, and then you are subjecting that to a process called as auto radiography. It is something like developing an X-ray. So when you are getting an X-ray, you will get dark color spots here. So if you are seeing, you get two. So if your probe is going and attaching to your gene of interest or to your DNA, then you can see that this is the image you get. So now take this particular plate and compare that with your master plate. So among these two, this is your master plate where you had 5 colonies. Now you got only 2 spots here. That means what? These 2 cells which are present in your master plate, they are the recombinant. They are the successful recombinant or transformed cells which got your gene of interest through rDNA technology. So like how you had a southern blotting for identifying the gene of interest, here you are taking a colony and finding out among this population which are your transformation. So this is called as colony hybridization, because you are taking a colony, and in southern hybridization you are just taking the DNA and then hybridizing with the radioactive probe of DNA, but here you are hybridizing with the radioactive probe RNA. So that is the difference between the southern hybridization and colony hybridization. So southern hybridization, you have a colony hybridization, then southern blotting can also be used for screening of the transgenic. Northern blotting is used for RNA, and western blotting are used for proteins. So that was about your screening. So what are the different steps? Isolation of gene of interest, isolation of the gene from the cells, and then identification of gene of interest, then cutting down the gene of your interest with restriction in endonucleases, then ligation, then introduction of your gene into the host, and then screening. So these are the gene cloning methods which are used in rDNA technology, right? Now, so this is this is just the outline of genetic engineering. So now, how is this rDNA technology helpful in our community? So coming to the application of rDNA technology. So this rDNA technology have been used in agriculture, medicine, research, industries, and so on. For it is mainly used in medicine, and in finding out the disease in diagnostic also it is being used. So this rDNA technology have been already used in developing human insulin. Human insulin, like insulin was first isolated from the pancreas of the cow, but now using this technology they have used E. coli. They have isolated the insulin gene, what is the DNA sequence of that, and then introduced into the E. coli cell by rDNA technology. So many developments have been taken in medicine also. They have developed human insulin, they have developed recombinant human growth hormones, recombinant blood clotting factors like 8, 9, and then they have this rDNA technology was also useful in pharmaceuticals, because they have developed hepatitis B vaccine, HPV vaccines, and interferons. They have also developed cytokines. They have knew the sequence of what are cytokines. They have developed that. Monoclonal antibodies are also being developed. Many recombinant enzymes have been used. Recombinant HIV proteins and many other albumin, fibrinolytic and thrombolytic agents have also been already developed by this particular method. And it is also been used as a gene therapy. Gene therapy. What is this gene therapy? It is nothing but it is the introduction of a normal gene into a defective one to correct the genetic disorder. Genetic disorders cannot be rectified. So the gene which is missing is being replaced by the normal gene which is being created by rDNA technology. So it also has an application in gene therapy, food production, and then they have developed many transgenic plants and animals. They have genetically modified corn also. You have genetically modified brinjal, tomato, and so on. So you know all this, like it has they have contributed much in medicines treatment. So insulin hormone was being developed by genetic engineering. And they have produced human growth hormones also to treat the dwarfism. They have produced Forestin injection for treating infertility. They have prepared human albumin, anti-hemophilic factors, and many other things. They have also developed anti-cancer drugs and vaccines for AIDS. They're developing for AIDS, malaria, and so on. So you can see they have also contributed much in agriculture. They have much genetically modified crops. You can see here a blue rose, then the corn, then the strawberries, and you have genetically modified organisms like the glowfish, a natural zebrafish which has genetic information from bioluminescent jellyfish added to its DNA. So much has been contributed towards the industry, research, medicine, agriculture, and so on. Thank you.